I use powder tangleweed? I don't remember. Tangleweed. Maybe it was Luna. There's really hardly any in there. Tell that girl if you use something you need to tell me so I can replace it. Amber ashes. Oh dear, that's not a good one to be running low on. Need to talk to them about that one. Oh yes, I've been eating quite a lot of this. Just in case anyone seems to go by asking questions. Should do it for now. Okay. There we are. Alright. And you can tuck right back there for now. There we are. Just putting that down. Oh, you again. No, please, come in. You're not interrupting. I was just, taking some inventory of my supplies, seeing what sort of ingredients needed to be restocked the next time I venture out into the forest. Gotta keep notes, otherwise I'll never remember what I need. Not everything, anyway. So. But no, you're not interrupting. So, what's new with you, strange traveler? Oh, you're going on a journey to Tivermack. Really? That is quite the journey. You know that, right? It's quite a ways away from here. Okay. Now what takes you all the way to the port city of Tivermack, if you don't mind me asking? Clea sent you there. Why? Oh. You're looking for Maggie. I see. You do realize that there's a very small chance that she would be there, right? Okay. I don't want to get your hopes up, but I doubt that you will find what you're looking for. You see, how much did Clea tell you about me and her sister? Not very much. Okay. Well, Maggie was my apprentice for several years. We got very close. And then when she left, it was hard. About a year after she left, I actually journeyed to Tivermack to try to find her. And I couldn't. I spent weeks there, interrogating people, looking everywhere, turning over every stone, looking for any sort of sign of where she was or where she might have gone to after Tivermack. And I never found her. Now, I do understand that she may have been trying to avoid me. But I just want you to know there's a very strong possibility that you will not find Maggie in Tivermack. You're determined to go anyway. Well, I suppose I have no right to stop you. You are free to do whatever you wish. What happened between us? It's a very private matter. I promised Maggie that I would never speak of it. If If you would like to know what happened, you'll have to ask her and hope that she tells you. It's not my story to tell. Anyway, it's quite a long journey. I suppose you're leaving bright and early, maybe tomorrow. All right. Well, good luck on your journey. I wish you safe travels and all that. Anything that you might need for your journey? Well, I mean, I could think of a few things that would help a traveler such as yourself. You still have your sleeplessness draft, I hope. Good. Oftentimes people who are traveling find it more difficult to sleep well when they are not at home. So, just want to make sure that you have that. Now, Tivermack specifically. Obviously, Tivermack is a port city, so you have quite a lot of people from quite a lot of walks of life who live in Tivermack. And you also have quite a lot of sailors and merchants and such coming in from the ships, day in and day out, really. It's quite a bustling city. Now, I'm not sure what your plans are once you're there, but should you find yourself on a ship while you're in Tivermack, it may be good to have some protection against some of the creatures of the sea that live near Tivermack. In fact, there's an island shortly off the coast of Tivermack where there is a known colony of sirens that live there. Now, I'm sure you've heard of sirens. They're obviously similar to mermaids and somewhat similar to naiads, but sirens are, well, they're quite passionate, let's say. And they often are quite malicious towards mortals, such as myself and yourself. And so they use their magical voices to sing songs that enchant sailors to sailing to their dooms, really. Whether it be into rocks that wreck their ship or just into their lair where they can devour them. Less than wholesome, I suppose, but that is the nature of a siren. So, if you wanted, I suppose I could make you a potion that would sort of counteract the magic of a siren's call. Yes, it's one of my own recipes, actually. It's called Siren's Lament. And it won't completely protect you from them. Sirens can be quite dangerous if they get a hold of you, but it will at least neutralize the magic of their voice when they're singing. So you will still be able to hear them, but you won't be enchanted, at least. So, I mean, I don't know if you are looking to go on a voyage while you're there by ship. But even if you don't use it, I suppose you could always trade it to someone in Tivermack for something useful. A potion such as that would obviously be quite advantageous to a sailor. Yes, you'd like me to make you one? Absolutely. I can whip that up actually quite quickly. So why don't you just have a seat, relax. I'll gather the ingredients we need and we can get started. All right. Someday. Now, where did I put that? Oh, yeah, it's sad. I thought it was over here somewhere. Oh, there you course, where are you? Yes, of course. Pixie dust. Fabulous. Of course. A bowl. I did. Yes, I cleaned that up. Okay. Spoon. Obviously. Alright. Let's finish with that. Alright. I think we're all set. Now, in order to combat the magic of a siren, you need two things, mainly. You need to draw from the power of the ocean, the same power that she draws from. And then you also need the element that weakens her, the power of fire. So we'll be adding both of those things to our silence lament for you. Now the first ingredient that we will be using is a very special one that I actually acquired outside of this realm. It's a lovely ingredient, you can see. This is called Mermaid's Wake. Now it is exactly as the name suggests. It is the wake created in the ocean from a mermaid's tail as she propels herself through the water. And there's a very, very specific way in which you need to acquire the mermaid's wake to stop yourself from just getting normal seawater. As you can tell from looking at this, it's very lovely, and it's certainly not just seawater. You can see there's some iridescent sparkles in there from the mermaid scales. I get this from a friend of mine who comes from a faraway realm. You see, there's a market. It's called the Watersmeet Market. And it exists in a place outside of the realms, meaning that if you know how to get there, anyone can get there. And this is a market particularly for very interesting folk to sell their wares and acquire very interesting things. So, at that market, I met a fascinating person who goes by the name of Kwakzalver Swarms. She runs the Wandering Wunderkammer. She has all kinds of fascinating things in her store, including Mermaid's Wake. Now, she has been trained for years in the art of collecting the ingredients that she has in the Wandering Wunderkammer, and she assures me that everything that she has is ethically obtained, which I appreciate, seeing as everything that I have here is as well. It's lovely though, isn't it? Now, Mermaid's Wake can be used in all kinds of interesting concoctions. You see, mermaids are definitely similar to sirens in some ways, but they differ greatly in one very important way. While sirens tend to be very temperamental and can be quite malicious towards humans and other mortals, mermaids are a bit more subdued, shy even sometimes, but they at least don't have that sort of anger and fire in their hearts that sirens tend to have. So using something like Mermaid's Wake on a siren can help to pacify that more aggressive nature. So, let's break the seal, shall we? All right. There we are. That will serve as the base. wasn't it? And the bowl, too. Just lovely. Quite enchanting. Kwakzalver Swarms is a very interesting woman. Apparently she knew my mother, too. I think time works differently in the realm that she comes from. But either way, a fascinating woman with fascinating items. So there's our first ingredient. Next, we'll be borrowing some power from another fascinating sea creature, the giant squid. While this creature is slightly less magical than a siren per se, at least in their inherent nature, they are still incredibly powerful and incredibly mystical in their own way. So, and giant squid ink can be used in all kinds of things. Under the right circumstances, it can be used as a poison, but it also is used in quite a few antidotes to other poisons. So we'll be using this to guard you from the poison of the siren's sweet call. There we are. It's a nice inky texture. Now, our final ingredient from the sea, you actually most likely will recognize, seeing as you gave it to me. Some naiad sand. Now, naiads, while they are also creatures of the water element, are very different than mermaids and sirens, because naiads are actually water spirits, per se, created by the nature goddess herself, to help govern and protect the waters of a land, the lakes and rivers, and some in the oceans as well. So naiad sand, or sand blessed by the naiads in their colonies, has an inherent ability to protect. So, using a bit of this in our potion as well. Don't worry, the potion won't actually taste sandy. It will dissolve as we mix it in. There we are. Got a good stir. See, it changes sound once it's all dissolved in there. There we are. I believe we are ready. Alright, so that will do it for our water element ingredients. Now, on to the fire element. First ingredient for fire is this one. Dragon blood. Now don't worry, like I said, all of the things in my cottage are ethically sourced. This was actually a dragon who volunteered some of her blood for me. Don't you worry. In fact, she actually had an infection that I helped heal, so that she was happy to do me a favor in return. So, I'll be using a bit of that. Thick, rich red and gold liquid. Now, dragon's blood on its own, it's actually quite fiery to the touch, which you may expect from such a substance. The potion won't actually taste fiery because it's got the other water element to tone it down a bit. But the Siren will very much notice the presence of some fiery dragon's blood coursing through you. That will help to dissuade her from singing and trying to enchant you. There. It's looking perfect so far. And our final ingredient. One more of the fire element. We have some fire pixie dust. Now this is from a pixie, not a fairy. Fairies and pixies, they share some similarities, but they're definitely very, very different. Pixies are quite a bit smaller than fairies, and they're quite a bit more, how would you say, independent, I suppose. Fairies generally form communities that they call hovels, where either one type of fairy or perhaps multiple types of fairies live within the same area and have some sort of a society. Pixies, while they do sometimes live in family groups, are far less predictable and organized, I suppose. They also tend to be quite mischievous. So, while you could maybe convince a fairy to do something good for you, pixies will only ever do what they will. But that does make their dust quite a powerful ingredient when it comes to combating other types of magic, especially those of the water element, like sirens. There we are. Just give it a good stir. Make sure everything has time to combine. If you look closely, you can see the two different elements trying to fight being combined, as they are generally seen as opposites in nature. But in some ways, all elements are really quite similar. They all create a balance in the natural world. They all have their place. They have their strengths and weaknesses. And while fire and water may be opposites, they're actually quite similar. They both flow. They both sort of have a mind of their own. And they both give us life. And they can both take life away. Once you understand the balance between the elements, it opens up a whole world of possibilities. just about perfect. Let's get this put in a jar for you, shall we? All right. Here we are. Siren's Lament. Quite a dark colored potion. Almost black, really. I suppose that's what you get for mixing two different elements that seem to be at odds with one another. Although, like I said, the elements have quite a lot more in common than you would think. Much like two people who seem to be at odds or not getting along. If you look closer, you will most likely find quite a lot of similarities between them. It's still quite an enchanting potion. The different specks of light from the dust and other ingredients in there. Anyway, this particular jar of Siren's Lament should be useful for roughly 2 doses. So, either you can use it twice on 2 different journeys, or if you're sailing with someone else on your voyage along the sea, you can give half of the jar to someone else as well. Either way. Or like I said, if you don't intend to use it, I'm sure that you could find a sailor or a captain or a merchant in Tivermack who would be happy to take it off your hands for you. Probably trade for something quite valuable. This would be quite a useful item in a city like Tivermack. Anyway, here you go. And as I said before, I wish you safe travels and all those pleasantries. I do hope that you find her. We had our differences, but it hurt when she left. Let's just say that. There was a hole here in the cottage and in Whisperwind. If you find her and you're able to convince her to come home with you, it would be more than just me and Clea who were happy to see her when she got back. Anyway, perhaps a perfect stranger that she doesn't know has a better chance of actually talking to her. I don't know. But either way, I hope that you find Maggie. Yeah. Well, enough of that. Anyway, if you're leaving bright and early tomorrow morning, you should most likely get going. It'll take you a bit to get back to town, and you need your rest for tonight. So, I suppose I will see you when you return, traveler. Hopefully you're not alone. But either way, I suppose we will run into each other one way or another. So, until then, bye for now.